Good evening, viewers. Welcome to my series of tutorials discussing various seismic provisions for RC shear wall high-rise towers. In this series, we have already published 6 tutorials, and now this will be the 7th one. In today's tutorial, we will discuss about the various seismic load combinations. Before that, I would like to express a few things. These tutorials are focused on professional structural designers who are designing high-rise towers. So the level of discussion is bit assuming that there is a certain expertise viewers are having. However, many of the viewers, they contacted me and they requested me to conduct or to present some tutorials wherein basic things are discussed. So I am going to publish further series of tutorials wherein we will discuss the seismic codes step by step, and not only the Indian code, we will discuss the various provisions from other international codes also. We will compare, and very basic terminologies will be discussed in the same way regarding wind loading, same way regarding the drawing, drafting, detailing, deciding various parameters in the design basis report, design of elements, and optimum use of this software is available, and very importantly, the value engineering aspect. So whatever design output is being delivered need to be confirm that the output is optimal, and proper value engineering steps are taken, and there is a quite reasonable control on the quantity of material consumption, or I will simply say the design output should be justifiable, that whatever the consumptions are there, they are justifiable. So today we will start with our discussion of various load combinations, seismic load combinations for particularly high-rise shear wall type of buildings. (6.3.1) Load combinations. So this point mention about load combinations are required to be followed first from the basic codes. Like for RC structures, IS 456, for steel structures, IS 800, then the basic loading codes, IS 875, they need to be followed, and in addition to that, the combinations mentioned in this code, which are of course about considering the earthquake effects, that need to be considered. 6.3.1.1, it makes one point clear that even the earthquake load combination is not governing, then also the provisions of this need to be followed. This point need to be carefully looked in the focus of particularly two situations. I would like to give an example, like in Mumbai-like region, if the number of floors of the towers in general, they go on more than 30-35, in that case, wind forces go on increasing, and the base shear, wind base shear, then exceeds the seismic base shear. So for like building like 40-45 storied building, one may feel that this building is totally governed by wind loading, mainly governed by wind loading. It is not governed by seismic loading. So should I need to follow this code, seismic code, or not? To make this point clear, this point is mentioned here. So no misunderstanding need to happen. Even if the building is 45 storied, and even if the wind base shear may be twice of the seismic base shear, the seismic provision need to be followed. This is one particular situation. However, as the number of floors goes on increasing, for example, when they increase 50-55 stories, then the wind base shear is in the range of around 3 to 4 times the seismic base shear. This is I am talking about region like Mumbai. And even if the height goes further, number of stories are like 70, 75 are there. In that case, the wind based shear is sometimes 5 times, 7 times, 8 times the seismic based shear. So in this situation, the meaning here, what the code wording mentioned, that this code need to be followed, ductile detailing provisions of IS 13920 also need to be followed, whatever seismic provisions given in IS 800 need to be followed. But in such situations like very super tall towers, the wind based shear is much higher. The forces developed due to wind are many-fold seismic, and on top of that, following the ductility provisions, particularly like the members, link beams and all that, it becomes highly over conservative. Because probabilistically any earthquake creating that much base shear on that tower, that possibility is as good as non-existent. However, these are the wording, and a proper rational meaning need to be concluded out of it. 6.3.2 Design horizontal earthquake load. So 6.3.2.1, when lateral load resisting elements are oriented along two mutually perpendicular orthogonal horizontal directions, structure shall be designed for effects due to full design earthquake load in one horizontal direction at a time and not in both directions simultaneously. So the load need to be considered in X direction and Y direction separately. The combinations having X direction seismic load will not have Y direction seismic load, and the combinations having Y direction seismic load will not have X direction combinations. So you can look at this building, although the building shape is not completely along X and Y direction, but if you look at the frames, lateral load resisting system, they are orthogonal, they are along X and Y direction. So in such situation, the combinations will have earthquake X combination and earthquake Y combination. So that need to be considered in plus X direction and minus X direction, plus Y direction and minus Y direction. So this earthquake loads along plus X and minus X need to be considered along with the basic combinations required for that type of structure. So for an RC building, the basic combinations there will be 12. So that seismic load combinations are 1.2 times dead load, 1.2 times live load, and 1.2 times earthquake load along X direction, positive X direction. This is along negative X direction. This is along positive Y direction. This is along negative Y direction. Then the second combination is 1.5 DL plus 1.5 earthquake load along X. Same way it is minus along X, this is plus along Y, and this is minus along Y. And the third set is 0.9 DL plus 1.5 earthquake load along X direction, 0.9 DL minus 1.5 earthquake load along X direction, and same is repeated plus and minus for Y direction. But in this, only X or only Y direction load is considered in the combination. So for a perfectly orthogonal system of lateral load resisting system, we again come back to our this model, and you can see here that all shear walls are either along X direction or along Y direction. They are orthogonally oriented. So in such case, our combinations for X and Y, they will be either along X only or along Y only seismic combinations. So I will just check the different load combinations here. So I will go to the display show tables. In the show tables, I will go to load case definitions. In the load case definitions, I will go to load combination definitions, and then I will check it here. Then you can see the combination number 10. It is dead load and SPX, that is response spectrum earthquake load in X direction. So here its multiplicand is plus 1.5 and here it is minus 1.5. Same way, if you look in Y direction, it is 1.5 plus and 1.5 minus. So different combinations are there of dead load 0.9, earthquake 1.5, dead load, live load and earthquake 1.2, and dead load and earthquake load 1.5. They are there. But the point to be noted is either SPY is there or SPX is there in the combination. Next, 6.3.2.2. When lateral load resisting elements are not oriented along mutually orthogonal horizontal directions, then structure shall be designed for simultaneous effect. Simultaneous effect of what? It is of full 100% design earthquake load in one horizontal direction plus 30% of design earthquake load along the other perpendicular horizontal direction. So the structure should be designed for following sets of combinations of earthquake effects. So your basically earthquake case will be now made up of combination, that is plus or minus ELX, that is 100% of earthquake force along X direction, plus or minus 30% of earthquake force along Y direction and vice versa. Before that, we will see in 7.1 and in table 5V the definition of this plan irregularity is given, so we'll look at that first. This is table 5V, non-parallel lateral force system. So code defines that a building is said to have a non-parallel system when the vertically oriented structural systems resisting lateral forces are not oriented along the two principal orthogonal axes in plan. And building with non-parallel lateral forces resisting system shall be analyzed for load combinations mentioned in 6.3.2.2 or 6.3.4.1. Figure 3E from IS 1893 shows non-parallel lateral force system. Figure 1 is moment frame building and figure 2 is moment frame building and shear walls. And this all lateral load resisting system, either of moment frame or of shear wall and moment frame, they are not oriented along X and Y direction. Some of the frames are inclined to X and Y direction. So this building is of non-orthogonal system. Here there are frames which are not along X or Y. Some of the frames are there which are inclined to either X or Y axis. So in such type of system, if I apply only load along X, 100% load along X or 100% load along Y, then that will be unconservative for the elements which are not oriented along X and Y direction. Anyway, generally the frames become critical when the earthquake loading is along the axis of that frame. There is one way, one solution is there, that you can apply the seismic force along different axes, but that will be too tedious. Then every time scaling and all that issues will is given, and a simple solution is given, that is 100% design load in x direction plus 30% design load in y direction, acting simultaneously. In the same way, vice versa. So in such symbolically you can see it is 100% along x and 30% along y, and the directions will be plus and minus. Same way, 100% along y and 30% along x, directions will be reversible, plus and minus. So basically this result, I mean, earthquake case will be made up of again now this much combination. So there are 8 possibilities. Earthquake along plus x plus 30% along y, then minus 30% along y, minus x plus 30% along y, minus x minus 30%. So here these are all 100% x. Same way, vice versa, 100% y combinations will be there. Now when this becomes earthquake cases now, and when this will go into the load combinations required for earthquake cases, for particularly for say RC shear wall type of building, then actually that are 3 combinations, that is 1.5 DL plus 1.5 earthquake, 0.9 DL plus 1.5 earthquake, and 1.2 DL plus 1.2 live load plus 1.2 earthquake load. So in all 8 into 3, 24 seismic combinations are there. Before we move ahead, let us look at an alternative approach given in 6.3.4.2. So in this, the net response due to combined effect of the 3 component, or it may be 3 or it may be 2 components, can be obtained by earthquake load equal to square root of ELX square plus ELY square plus ELZ square. So it is the SRSS square root of sum of squares. And in this, if you are not going for vertical accelerations, then ELZ term will not be there. If you are having perfect, so we are having now 2 different options to consider loads, earthquake loads for non-orthogonal framing systems. Either we can go with 30% rule or we can go with SRSS. Now what time, which is preferred, to be preferred? Now look at this framing. Suppose particularly 1 or 2 frames, they are not oriented along x and y direction. Let us imagine that this side is slightly inclined here, or somewhere there is might be some inclined wall going from here to here somewhere. In such situation, that 30% rule is quite okay. However, one need to look at different situations in a different way. There need to be sufficient non-orthogonal frames. You are going with 30% rule, fine. If you are looking at some buildings like this, then here you will notice that the building major walls are along inclined directions. They are, if we call them as U and V direction. So for this building there is X direction, Y direction, U direction and V direction, and these are oriented at 45 degrees. Now in such type of buildings, that 30% rule may not be perfectly conservative rule. For frames in this direction or from frames in this direction, that 100% plus 30% may not be truly conservative. So in such type of building, if you look, there are number of frames which are non-orthogonals, and second, the inclination of this major portion of lateral resisting frames is around 45 degrees. And in such situation, that 100 plus 30% rule may not be conservative, and in such situation we would suggest rather to go for SRSS. So SRSS will be truly conservative in such cases. Just to look at other possibility, in the other possibility, if you look, there are certain frames like this which are absolutely oriented along x and y direction, but there are hardly a few walls are there which are non-orthogonal. And in such situation, going for 30% rule is again not optimal way. It is just loading your structure more. So in such situation, I would suggest go for 100% x, 100% y, but in along with that make one SRSS combination, and while designing such inclined walls and any of the frames connected to that wall in that direction, follow the SRSS case as an additional case in the design. So go for like S X, S, Y, and there might be one more SRSS case, so that you can use, and then you will be assured that this type of wall is checked. To summarize in short, if you have a very minor frame like this one or two which are non-orthogonal, in that case you may go with 100% x and 100% y, but you can make one SRSS case, and that need to be applied to that inclined member in the design, and for that the design need to be checked. In case of the building, what is shown in this code figure, building like what shown in code figure, where there are some of the frames which are inclined a few frames specifically, and if they are not at 45 degrees, like if they are few, no issue, but if they are there and they are not even oriented along 45 degrees plus or minus 5-10 degrees, in that case the 30% rule is the best rule. And in case this type of building where majorly moment resisting shear walls or frames, they are non-orthogonal, and particularly they are oriented somewhere close to 45 degree, in such case SRSS is supposed to be the best combination. This need to be considered. However, SRSS is a bit uneconomical. This need to be noted, and for such buildings there is no need to go for 30% rule. Here you can go with just for 100% x and 100% y. So again, one more thing, if this type of building, this is in zone 3 and there is no vertical irregularity, in that case SRSS can be simply applied to x direction and y direction seismic forces. So all these possibilities are there, and depending on the particular structure, the way you are adopting combination need to be considered. Important is that it should not be over conservative, uneconomical. At the same time, it need to capture whatever seismic forces coming on it, and it should not be in any case unconservative. So in case when we want to apply earthquake forces in all three directions, x, y and z, then the 30% rule gets further applicable to all these three directions, and as given in 6.3.4.1, these are the load combinations need to be considered. These are in all 72 combinations, because one such set constitutes 24 combinations. This is equal to 8 different combinations. 8 into 3 is 24. So basically there are 24 earthquake cases, and that cases need to go into that particular type of structures. Mandatory load combinations, here we are in case of RC structures. So that whatever three combinations, 1.5, 0.9 and 1.2, all that what we are taking. So there will be in all total 72 seismic load cases for RC structures if we are considering the ground motion in all three directions. So this is all regarding seismic loads and seismic load combinations. If you find this tutorial useful, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you once again for bearing the load of the seismic loads and load combination session.